Hi, good morning. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steph. Welcome to my studio. I wanted to talk today a little bit about 12-string guitars, specifically acoustic 12-string guitars, and the fact that I don't own one. And little tricks that I do to get around that. Can I get it to sound identical to 12-string? In a mix? Close? Not exactly. But if you haven't got a 12-string acoustic guitar, there's a couple little tricks you can do to kind of get around it a little bit. So I've got my coffee because it's not very warm today. So I'm trying to warm my fingers up and we're going to have a go. So I'm going to start with my Gibson J45 standard. I'm just going to track something pretty simple, some picking, then maybe some strumming, and then just show you the first thing that you can do to kind of make it sound a little bit like a 12 string. And this comes from the last video that I posted, which was a song I was doing for Paul Smith called Mr. Cowboy. And I kind of used one of these tricks to get that kind of sound, which I'll explain in a little while. But there's also a bonus from doing it this way as well, which I'll also talk about. So I'll reveal all in a minute, but let's record some guitar. Let's have some coffee. Need coffee. Right. So I've got an empty project. I'm just gonna track some acoustic. So it sounds like this. So Shure SM878 condenser microphone, vocal condenser, but I really like it on acoustic guitar. Sounds quite, to me, there's no real enhanced frequencies when you put it in front of an acoustic. It's fairly, there's no EQ, there's nothing on that at all coming back from Logic. It sounds like I'm sitting in front of the guitar to me, so it sounds quite natural. So it's not enhancing too much top. Right. So let's just track something, see if my fingers will work. They might do. Make no promises. Okay, that'll do the trick. So the first thing is if you've got just an acoustic guitar like this, no matter what it is, you can capo and then play a second part higher up over top of the first, which is what I've been doing for years. Does it sound identical to a 12 string? No, absolutely not. In the mix of a song, it can get you most of the way there. The obvious thing is that you have to be very accurate copying what you just played. But what you do need to know is a little bit of theory. So I was just using G, C add 9, those two chords. I need to find a higher place to play those two chords. So if we look up here, I'm going to go quite high up. I've got a G here on the 10th fret on the A string. So I can play that. I can play a G in a C shape there. So knowing your caged system, which is a buzzword from the last 10 years, isn't it? I learned all this stuff, I think, as a young adult, I suppose, which I'm not a young adult anymore. And it got labelled the cage system, I think, later on. Everybody was talking about it online. I was like, what's this cage system that I don't know anything about? Looked into it, and it was like, oh, it's just the fact that you kind of know the same chords in different shapes and places. I'm like, yeah, I can kind of do that. So things just get labelled, don't they? But anyway, so if I capo, my G is there. So if I capo fret 7, hopefully the tuning won't be like a million miles away. As I mentioned in the last video, I need to get some new capos. They're okay, but they're a bit temperamental, like me. Right. So I'm not actually going to play exactly the same as I played down the bottom as far as the pitch of the notes. So there might be some fifths together. There might be it might be in unison, all sorts. I'm just going to play the same pattern, and we'll see what happens. We'll see how it sounds. Okay. Let's go. See if I can remember what I played after waffling for a minute. I'm good at waffling. I am the waffle master. There's a hashtag. Waffle master. Nothing to do with food. Just too much chatting. Here we go. There's a little hammer on there, no, which I missed. Let's have another go. This is. I'm going to have another go at that because that was rubbish. Let's get it. It just wasn't close to the other one. That's the problem with doing it this way. Cool. So let's listen to that back and just see what it sounds like. Does it sound like a 12 string this way? Does it sound like a 12 string? I mean, let me know in the comments. What do you think of that? It's close. In a mix, would be very close. You know, to having that kind of vibe. It doesn't sound like a 12 string to me. You know, it's nowhere near to be, you know, identical. It's definitely in the ballpark, is what I'm trying to say. There's another way of doing it as well, which I'll come to in a minute, which is probably closer. Definitely closer, but this is one way. If you've only got one guitar, you know, if you only have one acoustic guitar, 6-string acoustic guitar, you can get around it like this. Now, the bonus of this, of tracking it this way as well, is that you can pan them out, you know, so not even trying to be a 12 string at this point. You know, it can just give you a different sound if you're producing a track or if you're doing a session for someone. I'm going to pan these out. For anybody that doesn't know what panning is, pan is short for panoramic, and I'm sure you know what that means, but it's talking about the stereo field. So if I'm panning something, if I take a guitar and pan it to the left, you're going to hear it in your left ear. If I pan it to the right, you're going to hear it in your right ear, or anywhere in between. So if I pan these out, so the first one I record is in your left ear, the second one is in your right ear, or hopefully it should be, if I've plugged the cables in the right way around in the in the audio that I'm recording for the video. We'll have a go. So this is with them panned out, and it gets a completely different vibe. I'm just going to chop the start off of me yapping. There we go. Waffling, always waffling. Here we go. Oh, Logic keeps trying to save it. There we go. So at this point, it's not even trying to be a 12 string, is it? Because they're separated out in the mix in your stereo field. Put them back in dead center. Turn the click on. So with them on top of each other like that, in the center of the stereo field, they definitely sound more like a 12 string. I think panned out they don't, but it's a nice added bonus of tracking it this way, is that you can pan them out and get a different sound. I remember doing some stuff like this on some of the Flatland Kings records that I did a few years back. A couple of the tracks had like a 12 string kind of vibe, but the guitars were panned out, so you just get a real nice stereo sound. Now there's a second way of doing this, which does require you to have a second acoustic guitar, but it doesn't need to be a 12 string. So I'm just going to set that up and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. I picked up my Takamine acoustic, which is, or was, my main acoustic guitar for 20 plus years. I think I picked this up around 2000, around the turn of the century, which sounds like a long time ago. I haven't really used it much since getting the J45 for obvious reasons. The J45 just sounds so sweet. But it's still a great guitar, this one. I thought, what can I do with it? So I've put some high-strung strings on it, which is also known as Nashville tuning. And basically what that is it's the high strings from a 12-string guitar. So these four are up an octave from your regular strings, and these two are in unison, as it would be on a 12-string. Now, you haven't got to buy a pack of 12-string strings and rip 6 out. There are companies that make high-strung guitar strings or Nashville tuning strings. I think Diodario are the ones I've got. I use Diodario strings on all my guitars, generally, and NYXL on the electrics. And the acoustics, I think this is I want to say J16. I don't know. I'll check that out. But these are the Diodario high-strung strings. So this is what it sounds like. That is on. It's what it sounds like if I just play a G chord. So you get the higher octave strings, those four, and then unison there. It's a really odd guitar to kind of play on its own. To me, it's almost got like a bouzouki kind of tone, or like a mando kind of tone, like the kind of larger mandolins. Yeah, it's got that kind of sound for me. So what we're going to do is overlay this over top of the first acoustic guitar I did and see how this sounds. So this is an easy way of doing it if you've got another acoustic guitar kicking around, or you can get a cheap one and just chuck these strings on it. It doesn't have to sound amazing. This is literally just a layer on top of your regular acoustic guitar. So let's see if I can remember what I played. We'll see. Okay. You know what? I forgot that little hammer on that I did again. I shouldn't be so fancy. I'm not close enough. One more. Cool. So let's find out, does this sound like a 12 string? I think it's going to be closer than the first way we did it. Okay, from the top, let's have a listen. yeah, definitely closer in it. And that's just another cheap and easy way of doing it. If you don't own a 12 string, grab an acoustic guitar, a cheap second-hand one, or you might have a spare, chuck some Nashville tuned strings on it, and off you go. Now, the bonus with this way of doing it is you can pan them out as well. So let's pan them out. So the first guitar, the J45 will be in your left ear, the Nashville tuned will be in your right ear. Here we go, let's see what that sounds like. Yeah, definitely sounds more like a 12 string with the Nashville tuned over the top. So you've got a couple of options there you can try that's not going to cost you that much money without going and buying a really expensive, nice 12 string acoustic guitar, especially if you, like me, you've already spent quite a bit on a really nice 6 string acoustic guitar. Then it's just a kind of a cheaper option of being able to do that. So let me know what you think in the comments, which one you preferred, whether it was the cathode acoustic or whether it was the Nashville tuned acoustic. The panning obviously just gives you another option if you're mixing or if you're trying to create some textures in the mix. And actually, once you get the Nashville tuned in the mix panned out, sometimes in the mix you can't even tell, that it's a Nashville tuned on the right, not without really listening with some headphones on. It just adds another layer. The good thing about the Nashville tune one for me is that it just adds another layer of kind of frequency range that wasn't there before with the other acoustic guitar. It's just really, really cool. So that's cool. But to be honest, I don't have a preference. I use both all of the time. It just depends on the song. But let me know what you think in the comments. So which one do you prefer and why? And yeah, I hope this has been interesting. I hope it's helped some of you. And thanks for watching. See you soon.